As I work to rise through the ranks in cards, once in a while I like to stop and showcase a game that I thought was particularly fun. In today's video, I'm going to show you a fun comeback that I had that I figured you might enjoy, here today on Legendary Tactics. And this game was one of those fun challenges where I think Cards really shines. I'm up against a Japanese deck, and I have my usual American major, minor British deck here. And as I have explained in previous videos, this is a deck that takes a little while to ramp up. There's a few cheap cards here and there, but it's a lot of cards kind of start at 3 or 4 credits, as you can see. So there's not a lot for me to do necessarily early on, which can be a problem actually against Japanese decks, which can be pretty aggressive and can rush. And now I see I'm up against the Japanese Russian deck, so this should be interesting. But I've got my Awoken Giant that can take out a weak unit that's trying to get at my HQ, and so that's something that we can look forward to. Yeah, we've got, as long as we've got up to 3 credits, now we can start to get some of these what I would call weaker units on the board, but they're weaker for this deck. So the WARHAWK, for example, great against these weaker units. 3 defense isn't huge, but if you're just taking 1 each time, it can be pretty good. So and I love comboing that with Awoken Giant. Keep my card draw up and keep things rolling. But you can see that there's some pretty good units arriving, so I'm going to take out that 1 strength or 1 attack unit there. Keep my WARHAWK around, and then I'm just contemplating what I should do. But really, it's just Awoken Giant is the next easiest one. And we've got SHERMANs, that's my future card draw as well. And so I think this is, I feel like I'm already in a decent position. I'm playing my game, which is essentially trading 1 for 1. At least in the early game, until I get my heavier units down and create much more of a tougher line for the enemy to get through. So yeah, so I'm just kind of taking a look. They got counter defensive, so it does a boost there, which I think was probably a bad move, given that I have my WARHAWK there that's gonna attack. But then I realized, oh wait a sec, that's an ambush card, and so we're gonna just throw down a guard and make him come to me, and so that should be probably the most effective way to deal with it. And we'll see what he does. And his bombing raid, which these cards are so frustrating to go against. Carpet bombing, bombing raid, all those things are just so frustrating because they just feel like you can have a really nice support line built or whatever, and it just comes through and just mows it down. And I don't know, I'm sure they're fun to play, but they're really discouraging to have played against you. So now the question, I've got 6 credits. I'm going to repair my my Churchill with that American unit, and then this is a new addition to my deck in very recently. I've had this this card played against me many times, and so I know full well what it's what it's capable of. So I'll be looking for opportunities to, like, for example, the Churchill, where there is a unit with high defense but maybe low attack that I can boost up equally. So I've got a few cards in my deck that might qualify for that, but either way, it's going to be a great card to have in the mix going forward. So now I'm looking at naval support here, if that's something that should be used on my Churchill. We decide to go for it. It's really, the Churchill is going to be probably the main recipient of that card going forward. I think I've got another couple cards in there where it could be useful, but the Churchill is going to be the main one. That's where it's going to be the most effective. So with a strong Churchill guarding the HQ, I get hit by a critical hit. Unfortunately, I thought I was in really good shape, but apparently not. And now my HQ is vulnerable. So we got to take out this unit. I'm going to have to sacrifice a bit here just to get that unit out of the way. And well, we've got 6 credits left, but those ambush units, they take out a lot. You need a throwaway unit just to break up the ambush ability, and then before you can go in for the kill. But I'll unload a couple of lighter units onto the board and just get some manpower there to keep the momentum. I want to do what I can to, if this is a Japanese rush deck of any description, I want to do what I can to clog that up and buy myself time for my better cards to get there. So that British unit had to advance perhaps as a bit of a sacrifice, but also potentially to hit that, or things like artillery or aircraft in the support line, because you got to be careful. Now there's that very useful Soviet unit, the Guard there, which is quite useful. So I'm going to just advance that weaker unit, get my card draw from the Sherman. That gives me some more options. And I've got 4 credits left. I'm going to just have to chip away at that Guard, unfortunately. It's such a great card, that Russian one, with 8 health and Guard. Even though it's not a strong unit, it can really make a difference in slowing down an enemy encroachment. I think that's when I get around to playing my Russian deck next, I'm going to look to see if I can get that. So yeah, so I'm taking some hits here. That unit is particularly powerful. Of course, it's under guard, and I'm essentially wiped out on my advance. And the artillery begins to peck away at my Sherman there. So this is kind of not a good thing. Now I have more cards in hand. I guess that would be the only advantage. So I'm going to see what I can do to, again, just slow down any advance that they may have. And I'll throw some artillery down. It's going to be the obvious target of the enemy artillery, but we'll see. And that bomber as well is probably going to wipe out my Sherman, as it does. So not much I can do about that. That unit, that Russian unit, is basically a good card. If there's no other air units on the board, it can attack twice, or it has Fury, so it can attack twice. So that's why I got hit twice that first turn, but I stopped it the second time by getting my Spitfire down. So that unit advances. The Japanese unit. Sorry, that's the Japanese bomber. Sorry, my apologies. So the bomber goes for my Spitfire to really knock me back. Now with Awoken Giant, I do have a bit of opportunity to to take out that unit on the front line, and that is something that I'm going to do. So other than that, though, I haven't got a lot of strong units on the board yet. So I'm going to drop this. We'll see if this works. I've got to do something about these units. I take out that guard unit, fortunately. It was the random unit that was destroyed. And we've got one more weak land unit just to defend against an advance. And more air units go down for the Japanese, and they take out one defense on my bomber. So I gotta really watch it. That bomber is great, but it's surprisingly vulnerable. I've found that most times it gets targeted pretty early, and it usually gets damaged pretty early. So then Deadly Duty comes up. Interestingly, he destroys that frontline unit to get another card. So interesting play on that. I'm not sure why he would advance that unit before destroying it, but whatever. So now we've got to attack that fighter, and so you know, just scrambling around for options here, just taking a look. I've got my first airborne, although it's a bit late in the game for that. We'll do that. Luckily, the heavy armor reduces the damage by 1, so it gives my bomber a little bit more life, although now vulnerable to the artillery, obviously. So we're going to get down as many units as we can. I'm going to heal up the reduce the operations cost, of the bomber there, but that's not going to help. That the artillery is going to definitely target that bomber, especially now that it's boosted by that card. And so it's still not looking great. I mean, I just have 1 extra card in hand, but only 2 units down, and even though they're more powerful, they're not going to be it's not going to be easy to pull this out. This is where the rush part of the deck seems to be coming. So now I got death from above, which is an interesting one. I don't have a lot of other options, so I'm going to try using it. And luckily I take out that 5-7. I take out that guy. They get my first airborne down, and that other new one, that infantry with the 2 credit cost, kind of an interesting one. It's a card where you spend all your credits on it, and that boosts the strength. So I want to make sure I'm obviously the highest strength available in order to take the most advantage of it. But my concern here is I've really only got that unit, and well, now I have my Spitfire, but I really only have my first airborne, which is still pretty weak, and I've got my Spitfire now in hand. So I just used that frontline unit to take out the artillery there, and now I've got a pretty strong unit there, but this is by no means going to be easy. It gets my health down to 4, and if that other Russian unit had been a blitz, that would have been a tough call. So I've got to make some decisions here. I've got 4 strength. You know, a unlucky card on my opponent's part could wipe me out. So I really have to play this carefully. So we're going to take out that guy first, then this unit here. So we've bought ourselves a bit of time. I'm going to get my Spitfire down. Now we have a bit of an advantage at the moment. I do have my card that repairs the units in the front line and adds +1 and +2. That could be really useful, provided we can get to the front line this turn. Otherwise, we're going to not have a lot to work with. But my opponent doesn't have a lot to work with either. Got the one powerful Soviet 8.5, which is an obvious target for one of my units here. And I get a +1 USACE, which is good. That gives a bit of a boost to my units, or to one of my units. I'm going to take that out, sacrifice the Spitfire to take that unit out, and get my first airborne up front. And this is maybe a bit of a waste, but I'm going to repair the unit and give it +2. So that puts me into a pretty good spot overall now, with a 7-8 there and a 11-4 on the support line. But this has been kind of exactly how my deck usually ends up working, is that there's a lot of strength at the end of the game, but nothing particularly in the it takes a little while to get going. There's nothing particularly strong about its early game or what have you. So I've got to manage my credits here. I'm holding back on my big 11 strength, 11 to attack guy, because I just want to make sure I don't have a lot of defense after this. So I want to make sure I've got something useful. Fortunately, I pick up fortification It's the only card I can play this turn, but I'm happy to use it. And now at least I'm advancing with guard on my 11-4 there, because I don't want some weak blitz unit to come out of nowhere and take that out. It's going to be something I need to put the pressure on. So he plays 3 damage to a unit. It's not going to be quite enough, and they concede. So anyway, I thought that was a kind of a neat comeback, and I thought I'd share that with you. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. This is Legendary Tactics.